What's up, YouTube? So before we get started with this video on Undisputed, they're going to be talking about Tom Izzo, the head coach for Michigan State basketball, and how he kind of yelled at one of his freshman players. So let's see what they have to say about this.
There's one thing that would make me that angry. You don't know me very well. There was a bunch of things, and, hey, he's playing a lot of minutes too. He's tired too. But when you're a freshman now at this time of year, you don't make mental mistakes on things that when we're telling a guy which way he goes or not running back or, there were some things Aaron didn't do a very good job of. And yet, you know what? Like happened, I did get after him, and he did respond, and he did make a couple big buckets, and he did make some big free throws. But that's not good enough. This is one and done time, The my bads are out the window. If they're my bads because that team played better or that guy played better, if it's my bad because I decided to jog back instead of sprint back, then it is your bad, and you're going to hear about it. I get a kick out of you guys. Get after somebody because you're trying to hold them accountable. I don't know what kind of business you're in, but I'll tell you what, if I was the head of a newspaper and you didn't do your job, you'd be held accountable. That's the way it is.
Okay, Shannon, did you like that explanation from Tom Izzo?
No, I didn't. Because guess what? In the newspaper business, Skip, those columnists, those editors, they get paid. That freshman's not getting paid, Tom Izzo.
Oh, so Shannon, so now you have to be paid in order to be accountable? So nobody on the college sports level, since they're not being paid, they don't have to be accountable? So they can be... I thought I could have swore last week with the whole thing with Zion Williamson, everybody was telling me, oh, he should be paid. They should be paid this and that. So people are saying that they should be paid because they're playing on the level of being paid. But now you want to say that he's not being paid, so he shouldn't be accountable? Which one is it? Which one is it? Let's keep going.
And I want to ask you, did you have any bads in that game? Every set that you called, every rotation that you asked that your team get in was the right one. Am I correct, Tom Izzo? Because if that's the case, I want to know why this other team scored. Because you was right on point. You see, Skip, the thing is, and he out there with the Arthur hand like he's Arthur, he all balled up. Let's just say for the sake of argument, Skip, I give him the first one. I said, you know what? He's upset because the guy missed a rotation. He's upset because the guy did not get in the right set in which he had called.
I think he's upset because he was jogging back on defense.
Okay, he jogged back. Okay. He met him at mid-court. He met him at the court.
He did.
He got into him, chewed him out. Okay, Coach, you're right. I'm over with, done with. Why when you sitting in the huddle, you got to lunge at him and the players got to calm you down?
Yep.
That's when you know you've gone too far, when the players must be the adults in the room.
Now, do you really think that Coach Izzo was going to hit that player? Do you really honestly think he was going to hit that player? I mean, this is March Madness. He's had a whole year to be a freshman, to make mistakes, to do all that type of stuff. I could see if he got beat by another older player, he just couldn't make the play, he missed a shot. But to do the little stupid basic things that you learn not to do in elementary school, junior high, and high school, like running back on defense, going the wrong way on a play that we went over 1,000 times, you can't make this type of mistake. Coach is going to jump on you like crazy, especially for not running back on defense. You don't get to play I'm a freshman role. You've been up here playing with the big boys. You're at Division I, Michigan State. It's to the point that you don't get to be a freshman right now because it's to the point where people are leaving 1 year. They're doing one and dones. There's guys that are as old as you that are ready to play in the NBA. So you don't get to use the excuse, I'm a freshman. But you want to be one and done? Because in 6 months, you could be playing in the NBA. What do you think Popovich is going to say if you don't run full speed? What do you think if you were playing with a guy like LeBron? What do you think he would do to you if you're not playing full speed? I mean, it just doesn't... So I don't understand where the cutoff is. So let's keep going.
What happens if they don't do that? Now he probably headbutts him. And I know everybody said, these kids are soft these days and you can't coach them. You're absolutely right. Because there's a time, guess what, Skip? You remember when Bobby Knight used to do all that? Bobby Knight coached like he coached in the 70s, the 80s, and even into the 90s. But it got to the 2000s, they say this is unacceptable behavior.
They did.
You can't raise your kids like your mom and your dad raised you. I couldn't raise my kids like my grandmother and my mom raised me.
True.
Times change.
Yeah.
And he loves him. He loves him. Skip, you know what? There was a time that Bobby Knight loved Neil Reed. Bless your soul, Neil Reed passed away about 6 months ago at the age of 36. Come on, this is unacceptable. You made your point. You don't have to do the kid like that. You've already made your point. When you met him at the court, son, I need you to run back. Son, I need you to get to the rotation. Son, I need you to understand the set. You made that point crystal and abundantly clear. There was no need for the second go round at the kid.
There was a need for it, Shannon. There was a need. Like I said, this is Division I major basketball. To be doing stupid things like not running full speed, you were going to hear it. Like I said, there's some players as old as him that are ready to go into the NBA, that are one and done. I don't understand. So people want to talk about Zion should be getting paid and everything that goes along with that. Him and Zion are the same age. So he's able to play in NBA. People are talking about he should be getting paid, but across the river, this freshman is at the same age as Zion. Oh, well, he's just a freshman. You can't yell at him because he's not being paid, yada, yada, yada. So which one is it? They're both the same age. They're both the same age. And it's okay for this kid to join the military at a younger age than what he is now and be yelled and chewed out by a drill instructor. But his head coach at Michigan State, who's won national titles, a national title, can't yell at him? That's too much? He's been yelled at? It's too much? Well, let's hope this kid doesn't have to join the military, because he has a rude awakening. Let's keep going.
And another thing, Tom Izzo, you talk about the newspaper business. I don't know if you're going to hold the 12-year-old newspaper boy to the same standard you hold the columnists and the editors. I'm just...
Shannon, if that 12-year-old boy is doing the jobs that the editor and columnists are doing, he's going to be held accountable just like they are. If he's good enough to be an editor and the columnist, and he's doing it, and he's been doing it for a year, and then all of a sudden he's writing lax or he's just making stupid mistakes, he's going to hear about it. You're up there with the big boys now. You've been playing with the big boys now for a while. A whole season. You know what to do and what not to do. So to make the type of mistakes that he's making, it's not a mistake. He's doing it on purpose. You're not running back on defense. We've been over this play 1,000 times and you went left instead of going right. You're going to hear about it. You are going to hear about it. So if Shannon, if he doesn't want to be playing with the editors and the columnists in that newspaper because he's 12 years old, well, then you go back and you do your 12-year-old job. You follow the newspapers, you organize newspapers, you let the big dogs worry about being a columnist and an editor. You stay over here. You can just deliver the newspapers. Let's keep it easy because you're 12 years old, right? You're 12 years old. I'm going to hold you to the standard of a 12 years old versus a columnist, and the editor. So let's keep going.
And since we're in the newspaper business, come on, Tom, you're better than. And I know a lot of his former players have come to his defense. These players, you can't do this and all that. You're absolutely right. Because the way I got coached, where, in football, Skip, if we did something wrong, we had to run, or we couldn't get water for hours. You can't do that anymore, Skip. That's not acceptable. Coaches grabbing the guy's face mask and doing all that. You can't do that.
Oh, you can't do that anymore, Shannon? You can't touch the players anymore, Shannon? Well, wasn't this year that Michael Jordan hit one of his players on the back of the head because he made a bonehead play? You guys in YouTube land, go on YouTube right now and look at Michael Jordan hitting one of his players on the back of the head. And it was okay for Michael Jordan to do it, right? But Shannon, what happened to you can't touch your players anymore? You can't do this or that. What happened to that? And if you guys want to use the argument, well, the guy that Michael Jordan hit, he was a pro. I bet you he wasn't a year or two off of what the same age of the kid that Tom Izzo was yelling at. I bet you. But it's okay for Michael Jordan to do it. It's okay for him to hit you in the back of the head. I thought you can't touch anybody anymore, Shannon. So let's keep going.
Tom knows better than this. Like I said, even if I concede and give him the first one, the second one was way, way, way overboard. So much so that a couple of his players, had to grab Tom Izzo and say, "Coach, come on, sit down." And even then, one of the coaches came over his back and tried to, talk to the kid. I thought he went too far on the second go-round, Skip, even if I would have given you the first one. And I don't think the first one was called for. I believe you could have got your point across without doing that. Maybe you're not doing a good enough job explaining it to him. Because if he's still making those same mental mistakes, like you said, those same mental mistakes that he's making, that he made early in the year, that he's making now in these games, maybe you need to do a better job of coaching him up and explaining it to him.
Coach, excuse me. So, Shannon, maybe he got so mad and livid because you shouldn't have to coach or tell him kid at the Division I level playing at Michigan State and March Madness to run back on defense. Why do you have to tell anybody that? He shouldn't have to tell him to run back on defense. If you're going left and you're supposed to be going right, that's another issue. Maybe a brain fart, but there's no brain farts about running back on defense. I don't want to hear you're a freshman. You're young. You know, you've been knowing to do that since junior high. Okay? You don't get away with that. Maybe that's why coach is so mad. We have a chance to do something. What's Michigan State ranked second right now? They have a chance to do something. And we're going to lose because you're not running back on defense? Oh, you're going to hear about it. You're going to hear about it. Because the stupid things like that causes teams to get kicked out and lose. And we're better than that. Maybe, Shannon, maybe he holds his player to a higher standards and expects more and better. That's why he's so mad, because he knows he can do better. Let's keep going.
So for all the great things I saw yesterday during the NCAA tournament, this took the life out of it, just watching this live, because this went wrong.
Yeah.
This got ugly. This was cringeworthy, where I had to look away from it after a while. I know Tom Izzo a little bit off camera. He's very different off camera. He can be a fun guy to be around. He can be charming. He's got a lot of friends in the national media.
Yes.
And I think he cultivates those friendships with a purpose. He's a good college basketball coach. I'm not sure he qualifies as a great college basketball coach, but we could debate that.
Yeah.
But this was just a bad look for college basketball and a worse look for a Michigan State that Lord knows has had its share of scandal, right?
Yeah.
And if you know Tom Izzo, he grew up with Steve Mariucci in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, wanting to be a football player like Steve was, and Steve obviously became a very good football coach. Izzo wanted to coach football. Izzo coaches basketball like it's football.
Yeah.
Izzo had the infamous rebounding drill, and I'm pretty sure they had to do away with it because of all the things you just said, because it's now. But he used to make his players in their rebound drill put on helmets and shoulder pads to fight for rebounds, where they could go full contact going after the basketball. So he's built like that, his classic.
People want to cry about his tactics and being tough and strong like that. Tom Izzo has won a national championship, okay? He's won a national championship. So he knows how to get there. He knows what it takes, okay? He knows what it takes. So let's keep going.
Quote is, players play, but tough players win. So he wants you to attack the game of basketball and do it the right way, all out, 100%. So he's been known for doing this because he's right out of the Bobby Knight mold.
Right.
And Calhoun at Connecticut was known for jumping in his player's face. And I think Izzo, his idol was more Woody Hayes, college football, who just went finally completely over the edge. He wouldn't have lasted long in today's world either, right?
No.
But he went so far as to take a swing at a rival player at the end of the play in the Gator Bowl, and that was pretty much it for Woody Hayes. So I hark back to all the coaches I've known. Basketball coach.
It'd be hard to argue.
Up there, okay. And he was such a gentle soul, but he was firm. He was a disciplinarian, as Bill Walton will be the first to tell you,
Yes.
right? But he did it off camera. He did it behind closed doors.
Right.
He didn't do it during the game. He would get up into a play. He would tell you what's what.
Yeah, right.
But again, this, and then I had the honor of getting to cover Phil Jackson, get to know him pretty well. He was the complete flip side of this.
Right.
He just sat back. All of his teaching would be done off the court, away from basketball, right? When the game starts, he's pretty much letting the players decide the game.
Right.
And he would never, ever get in any player's face. Now, he's coaching professional basketball as opposed to college. But one guy who was, to me, the greatest coach ever in college and pro basketball, if you combine, was Larry Brown. And he would get upset and get in players' faces occasionally, but nothing like this. Because this is over the edge.
Right.
This goes psycho. This is the dark side of a Tom Izzo who's better than this, right? Isn't he a better coach than that?
Skip, even if you give him the first one, even if you say, son, I need you to sprint back. Son, you missed the set.
Yeah.
Son, how you going to miss that rotation? understand, and I was reading what Reggie Miller said. I mean, you would find it hard to believe that Tom Izzo is acting like this after they just went on the 10-0 run. So I get that. But what I really got the big problem with is that now, you like to think we've had a cooling off period.
Yeah.
We sitting down and around in the huddle,
That's a good point.
and he lunges again. At what point in time? Because so now you're telling me, Tom, you're not doing a good job of teaching him. Because if you got to have another response on top of the response you've already given him, there's a disconnect somewhere along the line.
So what has happened to Tom Izzo's Michigan State teams the last 3 March Madnesses? What's happened? We go back to 2016. Remember, infamous first round exit at the hands of Middle Tennessee State, right? That was a 2-15 matchup, and the 15 won that one. Then there's probably no shame in this, but they lost in 2017 second round to Kansas, who was the 1 seed. They were the 9 seed. They lost by 20, so it wasn't even close.
Right.
And then last year, as a 3 seed, they lost to 11 seed Syracuse in the second round. Not great. So I'm suggesting here that the pressure yesterday was on the coach more than on the players.
Absolutely.
I think it was manifesting itself that the coach is saying, "Don't do this to me."
Right.
This is me. I'm the king of this castle here at Michigan State,
the frustration skip those early round exits.
Yeah.
He's a 2 seed now.
Yeah.
He didn't want.
That may be part of it, but at the same time, everybody knows each other at this point. At this point in the year, everybody knows each other. And that kid knows he should be running full speed. You don't get away with being, I'm a freshman. You're a freshman playing in March Madness right now. You're playing with the big dogs. So the freshman excuse doesn't fly anymore. Because if you want to be a freshman, we'll sit you down, okay? We'll redshirt you. You won't play. You're not ready to run with the big dogs and get yelled at with the big dogs, okay? We'll sit you down. Don't worry about it. You won't even dress. We'll redshirt you, okay? And it gets a lot more worse in life. If that kid wasn't playing major D1 basketball for Michigan State, he could have a job someplace. Well, he could be getting yelled at a boss who really doesn't give a damn about him. Well, he's only making minimum wage and getting yelled at just like that. And you don't have nobody to complain to. So I'm sorry, Tom Izzo, that you're taking all this flack because you're trying to train a kid and help him to be the best that he can be. But it gets a lot more worse. Like I said, that kid could be in the military, getting beat up by a drill sergeant, getting ready to go to war. He can have some crappy job where he's not going to be making any type of money. He's going to be there for the next 20 years. And he's going to have been yelled at just like that. It's going to make this kid tougher. He might be one and done and going to NBA next year. And what's going to happen? He's going to get in the NBA and make that type of mistake. He could get cut. He could lose money. It could be anything. Izzo is preparing him for the real world and what's going to happen. Especially if you want to be one and done. Let's keep going.
What happened 3 years ago to happen again. He's talking about, these my bads. Yeah, that my bad that the 215 is a 2 seed is gone again at the hands of a 15. That would be your bad.
Man, I just, Aaron Henry. How about Henry Aaron, the old Henry Aaron? Would he have taken this? Probably not.
Yeah, but Skip, right? the notion is that all these, and I get it, Skip, because I grew up in the era of the coaches were different.
Sure.
They talk to you different. But you can't do that. This is a different time now.
Yep.
Why is it so hard for people to understand that times evolve, that you must evolve your way of coaching?
Okay, so I just don't understand. So where's the limit? Okay, so you can't hit players, you can't push players anymore. I understand that. Don't put your hands on anybody. I don't want anybody to put their hands on me. So now you can't give a stern yelling twice to a kid, 3 times. You can't yell at a kid. So what is it going to get to the point where you can't even raise your voice? You can't even raise your voice. I need you to run a little bit faster, son, okay? You weren't running as fast as you could run, and we don't want to lose with March Madness now. You've been doing this for 6 months. You playing with the big dogs. I need you to just run a little bit faster, okay? I mean, so where's the cutoff? Where's it going to end? Is it going to get to the point you can't reprimand? You can't say anything? Let's not acknowledge that he wasn't running hard. Let's just not acknowledge it at all and just move on. This is a business when you play Division I sports, especially at Michigan State. It's a business. Everybody knows it coming in. They're about winning. So let's keep going.
Way of teaching, your way of thinking. It is so hard. People are like, man, I remember. Okay, I get that. Because I grew up hard, too. I played football in the late 70s and the 80s and the 90s. Well, the 70s and the 80s. And, man, it was rough. It was rough. But you can't do that now. First of all, people ain't going to let you do their kids like that now. And second of all, administrations are not going to let you do that.
I tell you what, if it was my son and he was good enough to go play Division I basketball at Michigan State, and he was a freshman, and he was playing in March Madness, and he did something stupid and didn't run back on defense, you can yell at my son all you want, Coach Izzo, because once you're through with him, I'm going to get him next. I'm going to get him next. How dare you make it to this point and do everything and go against everything we work hard for and not run back on defense? You making stupid mistakes like that? Oh, you're going to hear about it. And I guarantee it won't happen again next year. I guarantee you that because he knows better. So after you're done with him, Coach Izzo, I'll get him next. I'll get him next. As a matter of fact, he's already looking at me up from the stands because he knows I'm coming after him next. Let's keep going.
Because they don't want to get the brake suit off. So come on, Tom. You're better coach than this. And I know you can get your point across without trying to belittle the guy in public.
I grew up in an era even before your era. When I was playing high school baseball, I had a baseball coach who was a complete psycho who got away with, I was probably the best player on that team. He got away with getting physical with all of us, including most of all me, shaking me. One time I hit a line drive back to the pitcher with the bases loaded, which turned into a double play that ended the inning. He came to the dugout and shook me against the brick wall, the concrete wall. There's no way he would have lasted today. You'd be out. But I grew up that way, so I get this mentality. But he's still living in the 60s, to me, Tom Izzo.
That is interesting.
And he's getting away with 60s, with Woody Hayes behavior. And at what point does the president of his school, which has been under fire, finally say, this is just a bad look for us?
Yeah.
Like